What's your sugar mama story? Story 1. How a chance encounter on Xbox led to a lasting friendship. I met a 30-year-old widow on Xbox when I was 19. She said she played Xbox to pass the day because she was financially set for life when her husband died and wanted to make some Xbox friends. So we played more and more until I couldn't keep up because my controller and headset broke. She asked for my address and I got a brand new controller and headset after a week. I couldn't thank her enough and asked her what I could do in return, to which she replied, to keep playing with her. Over the next few years, she occasionally bought me new games when they came out and even a few collector's editions if I wanted them. But eventually we drifted apart because I couldn't find time to play with my school and work schedule. I still miss her and occasionally try to find her online, but I need help remembering her gamertag or Facebook. She'll always be one of the best gaming buddies I've ever had. Story 2. A chance meeting with a group of older women gone wrong. A group of older women passed me, looking at a display on the wall. I greeted them and chatted with the last one to give me. We joked for a minute until she mentioned that they were celebrating their friend's birthday and then said, Ethel's been looking for a sugar baby. How about him, Ethel? Lady in front of the pack turns around, looks me up and down, smirks, and then walks on. The rest of the ladies laugh, and they move on. That's the closest I've come to having a sugar mama. Story 3. Unbelievable deal for a massage and burrito. My mom, who works as a massage therapist, told me her boss, 42, at her spa thought I, 19, at the time, was hot when my mom showed her pictures of me. She got an ad on Facebook from her, and she told me to come down to the downtown spa where she worked during her lunch break. Got an hour massage, crazy sex on the table, $50, and a Chipotle burrito. Story 4. Colleagues reconnect and find love in unexpected ways. My colleague reconnected with someone from college and ended up marrying her mother. They've been together for years. My other colleague has seen an older woman separated from her husband. She sometimes buys him nice things but mostly pays for his train, coach, bus tickets to see her for the weekend. He's holidayed with her for the past 3 years and gets on well with her daughter and granddaughter. He's in his mid-20s and she's 60. The joke started as soon as we found this out and stopped about 8 minutes later when none of it fazed him. We're all happy for him. Story 5. A short-lived romance before a big move. I'd been seeing her for about 2 months. She was 10 years my senior. We worked together, and there were always those particular looks throughout the year. She was going through a divorce with well-to-do architect, and we previously bonded over depressive situations we were going through. When I handed my resignation in and told the staff I was moving states, it kicked off. She said we should get a drink one night. Nothing happened. Then, she invited me round to her place. 3 awesome kids, anything I wanted booze-wise, food, great cook, meals, and drinks out too. Very in shape, and we bonded very well in the bedroom too. It was almost perfect, except for me having to sneak out at dawn before the kids woke up. This continued for about 7 weeks. I had my car parked and ready to go, and we spent one last night together before I moved. We said our goodbyes, and I drove off. Later, I heard from her as per the arrangement, her request. It could have worked out. Story 6. A wild night with a surprise ending. I went out drinking with my cousin on a Thursday night, and we ended up meeting a MILF at the bar he'd hooked up with before. It's closing time, and he invites me over to her place. To keep the party going, I suppose to stay at his place so I don't have anywhere else to go. She made me a bed in her guest room, and at the end of the night, I woke up the following day with a terrible hangover, and people were rushing around, and I was like, WTF is all this noise? So I emerged from the bedroom, and sitting at the kitchen table was my cousin, the MILF, and her 2 high school-aged kids. Mind you, I'm 22, and my cousin is 23. MILF packed us lunches while she made her kids' lunches and sent us off with brown paper bags and Gatorades. The kids were less shocked than I was. They were used to it. Story 7. A shocking living arrangement after a breakup. MD broke up with my mom and now lives with an 80-year-old. He's 50. She's rich and homeless, but he's handsome and looks good to her. She supplied his cocaine addiction for years, and then she gave him money to chase my mom and me through the courts over custody. Story 8. An unusual living arrangement with a son and daughter-in-law. My son, he would never keep a job for very long and lived at home even after marrying a woman older than me. I'm 64 years old. She wasn't rich, but she had properties that they sold. Do you know how weird it is for me to say my daughter-in-law is older than me? She's probably old enough to be my mother. Story 9. An older woman, a younger man, and a wild ride. I met an older MILF when I was 27. She was 43. and I think it was more of a boy toy situation, though we were still friends. She would take me all around the state on her trips as a sales rep. When I had the days off from my job, we'd stay at hotels and fuck half the night. Then we'd wake up, fuck again, and be on our way. It lasted for over a year, and honestly, I was so spoiled by her in terms of sex. She loved to fuck out in nature, and before it ended, we had fucked in 3 national parks. We had a thing where we'd impersonate the count with 2 national parks. And then laugh like idiots. Story 10. A young man's luck with a wealthy older woman. We always got expensive gifts, was always going to fancy restaurants, and she let him drive her luxury sedan around wherever she wanted. Plus, he got to stay at her swanky apartment rent-free. Cons? I don't think there were any for him. He came and went as he pleased. She wasn't particularly controlling, and if anything, she was lovely, and she was beautiful. If I could get a deal like that, I'd be foolish not to jump on it. Story 11. A tale of a cougar's unexpected change of heart. I went to a bar once, and this cougar kept ordering pitchers of beer for me. One thing led to another, and I went home to her place. I woke up the following morning to find out she was an E7 and I was an E4. Fast forward to later in the relationship, she told me that she wanted to get engaged before she left for her next duty station. I agreed, so we went to a jewelry store. She picked out a ring and asked me if I wanted an engagement present too. I picked out a fancy watch and she paid for everything. 2 days later, she changed her mind about the meeting and decided she wanted to be single. Story 12. A look into the dark side of a wealthy lifestyle. I met her when I was 22. She worked 2 shifts a week at work and suggested going to a movie. I was flattered and jumped at the chance. Afterward, we went to her apartment and had the most incredible sex of my young life. The next day, it was more of the same. Within a week, she suggested I move my stuff in. No need to pay rent, and her mom and dad took care of that. And the car payments and credit card bills. Eventually, I discovered that her family owned thousands of farmland, 3 radio stations, and a television station. After a few weeks, the sex got less and less, and she began spending more time with her girlfriends. Guys would come by, too. Guys wearing colors and riding Harleys. Slowly, the truth started coming out. She was gay. The women were her rich girlfriends and drug clients, and the bikers were her drug dealers. She needed a man to live with her to keep her wealthy, extremely conservative family from guessing that she liked women and cutting her off from money. Feeling like I'd been lied to and gaslighted, I left after a month and ghosted her. Story 13. The unexpected benefits of a one-night stand. When I was 20, I had a stint where I was unemployed, so I started getting benefits. I had to attend a job agency. Saw my agency contact at the local nightclub one weekend. I hooked up and took her home to my house. Next meeting, she used agency money to buy me a new suit, 2 shirts, 2 ties, and about $600 in fuel cards. A one-night stand turned profitable. Story 14. The struggles of balancing love and desire. I briefly dated a MILF, and quite frankly, it was great. She would expect me once a week with a fridge full of beer, homemade food, and dessert, and all the sex I could have. So dumped her to give my ex another chance, and it fails. There were other reasons. MILF got too attached, and I didn't want to hurt her, but that was the main one. Story 15. A surprising encounter at a luxury resort. I was sitting at the Hilton Dubai Resort, and this older lady, who had plastic surgery, was sitting in a chair, possibly in a thong. Soon her husband, a 20-something muscular Indian guy in Speedos, shows up with a drink and a horse so she could go riding later.